At least 66 injured victims of the bombed Igabi community are currently receiving treatment at the Barao Diko Teaching Hospital in Kaduna, according to officials, following an accidental airstrike by the Nigerian Army. An eyewitness tells our correspondent, Nissi Gabriel, that it was an unfortunate twin strike that left tens of persons dead, mostly women and children.
Accident and Emergency Unit of the Barao Diko Teaching Hospital in Kaduna is filled with victims of the accidental airstrike carried out by the Nigerian Army. They are in dire pain and anguish as doctors scamper around to resuscitate them, while relatives are scattered around the hospital precinct with gloomy faces. A family member of one of the victims tells Arise News outside the hospital premises that tens of people died on the spot, with many villagers estimating it at over 50 persons killed. According to him, 2 blasts rocked the gathering on Sunday night. The first strike killed more women and children, while the second claimed the lives of those who went to rescue injured victims.
Over 85 persons died. We brought 66 injured persons to this hospital. More children were among those killed. From what we gathered, more children and youths died. The youths that went to rescue injured victims were killed in the second blast. We are calling on the government to come to their rescue because most of the victims are poor, especially with the current hardship. They don't have what it takes to take care of themselves, not to talk of footing their medical bills.
The Deputy Chief Medical Director of the Barao Diko Specialist Hospital says 66 injured individuals were brought in by relatives with various degrees of injuries and that several of them are under severe conditions.
After the unfortunate incidents, a total number of 66 patients were brought to us, to this hospital, with varied degrees of injuries. Right? Some are very severe, while some are mild and could be treated on outpatient and then they can go. We are still assessing them. Some are already in the theater. We are going to assess the extent of injuries. Right? Some have very blunt abdominal injuries. Some have lacerating abdominal injuries with so much massive bleeding. Some have some very bad fractures. Right? Some have certain other injuries that we are going to assess. Some have been taken to the theater. It is after that assessment that we will now determine the extent of the injury.
Meanwhile, the Kaduna State government says it will take responsibility for the treatment of the victims and all the logistics. Governor Obasani says an immediate investigation into the tragic incident is ongoing to avert a repeat. He has also dispatched top government officials to the area to assess the situation and revert on ways to lessen the pains of the families of the victims. Meanwhile, the Igabi community remains a hard-to-reach area that's inaccessible to journalists due to the previous activities of terrorists in the community that has also seen the military intensifying its bombings there. Nissi, Gabriel, Arise News.
We're now joined by Nissi Gabriel, Arise correspondent in Kaduna State. Good morning, Nissi. Thanks for joining us this morning. All right.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Dr.
Nissi Gabriel. Well, for a moment, I thought you were in Gaza. Now that in Nigeria we have accidental discharge with the police, we have accidental bombing from the military. But has there been any talk about the exact number of people that died? Because the medical director there said 66 persons were injured. And you should know, it's his hospital that is treating the victims. How about the casualties? What's the exact figure? Because there have been several figures being bandied around.
Well, Doctor, just like you rightly said, many people here are saying Kaduna is not Gaza. Well, and the people here are faulting the Nigerian Army intelligence gathering mechanism, saying extensive measures ought to have been taken to avert such collateral damage. It's also is a known fact that it's a known fact that terrorists embed themselves among civilians, making it difficult for the army or the Nigerian forces to differentiate between innocent civilians and terrorists. But however, people in Kaduna State are saying more intelligence gathering should have been carried out before that airstrike. And in terms of the number of casualties, yesterday I was at the Barao Diko Specialist Teaching Hospital to move around, to see for myself, and I can tell you of a truth, the affected victims are in a dire situation. And as regards the number of casualties, I spoke to a relative of one of the affected victims who said that as at when the strike occurred, over 80 persons died on the spot. And at the Barao Diko Teaching Hospital, 66 persons, injured persons, are currently receiving medical attention from that medical facility here in Kaduna State.
All right, thanks very much, Nissi. Now, really heartbreaking to see the footage coming in from Kaduna State from the hospital there. However, in a statement released by the Director, Defense Media Operations, a press release with regards to the incident, the airstrike, the accidental airstrike, he mentioned the fact that they had, communities had been advised to alert military troops where they had activities, as they had with the Maulud celebrations last night, being one of the reasons perhaps for that mistake. Also, a few other things where he highlighted. Do you think that the press release has been well received by community members, or to assuage at least perhaps bring some comfort to the people from that particular press release?
Yes, to an extent, the press release has actually been received well by the people of Kaduna State, and also coupled with efforts put in place by the Kaduna State government, because yesterday the Deputy Governor of the state, in the person of Hadiza Balarabe, met with heads of security agencies, clerics, and also traditional rulers almost immediately after the incident, to alert them of what has happened and to also speak to them to go back to the communities to persuade the people, to let them know that indeed this is an accidental airstrike. It was not intended, but the state government and the Nigerian military will bear full responsibility, and they will provide succor for them. So I think the clerics here in the states and the traditional leaders have taken that message back, and also the state government has dispatched a top government official. They will be moving to the area today to assess the situation and the level of damage, and also to revert back to the government on ways the state government can lessen the pains of the families of those that have been affected. So largely the statement by the defense headquarters was received to an extent, but people are still faulting the intelligence gathering mechanism of the Nigerian Army. They say, especially those affected, they say their folks were killed by those people who are supposed to protect them. And that's a strong statement. However, the military has provided a lot of reasons why the accidental airstrike happened. And many people are hoping, moving forward, such incidents would not happen again, because it's one too many. I stumbled on the statistics by SBM Intelligence, which was published early this year, February to be precise. And from that statistics, it shows that over 300 civilians have been killed by accidental airstrike by the Nigerian Air Force since 2017. However, we have another sad incident before us, but this time around, not by the Nigerian Air Force, but by the Nigerian Army, who have taken full responsibility of their action. And they say they'll provide succor to those that have been affected, they'll take care of the medical bills, and they'll also provide succor to their families.
Please, let's get to the facts of the matter. The Army has taken responsibility. Was this strike done by fighter jets or a drone? What really happened? And we've been able to gather that, so it's not only the Air Force that, do this flights and, and all of that. Because just only recently, I was talking to a security expert here. We're talking, and they touted the importance of the Super Tucano to avoid things like this. More precision bombing and things like that. So I want you to give us the full details of what happened.
Yes, in getting to the facts, just like you rightly pointed out, the Nigerian Air Force are not the only people carrying out such operations in the Northwest. And the Nigerian Army did say, especially in that statement released by the Defense Headquarters, that it was a UAV, in other words, an unarmed aerial vehicle that was used for that accidental airstrike. So, and from our sources, from what we gathered that it was a twin bombing. It happened twice. And because of the modus operandi of these terrorists in this area, so the army mistook these people who were having their Maulud Nabil festivity, in other words, celebrating the birthday of Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him, for terrorists. So it's a sad occurrence. And just like you said, the Super Tucano was meant for precision bombing to avert issues like this. But I think the military, the army, are in the best position to tell us why that was not deployed for that operation. Instead of that, they used the unarmed aerial vehicle for that particular operation. And from my little findings and research, the UAV also helps in intelligence, surveillance, and also it has a little bit of precision, but not up to that of the Super Tucano. So, but like I said earlier, it's left for the Nigerian Army to tell us why the Super Tucano jet was not deployed for that operation instead of the UAV.
Well, thank you very much, Nissi Gabriel. Just stay safe. Now that Nigerian military authorities are operating drones as if they are playing with toys, with tragic consequences. Thank you very much indeed.